And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
Well, there are more than 550,000 cattle in the state of Louisiana, according to the LSU AgCenter. And those cattle come from more than 11,000 farms and ranches across the state.
So it goes without saying that the cattle industry is big business that can get people all wound up. That's exactly why about 50 Louisiana Farm Bureau members got on a bus and went to Oklahoma to see how wire gets wound to keep those cattle on their land.
Roy Rogers once sang the words, "Don't fence me in." For these cattle, that's not an option, which is why on the 2018 Louisiana Farm Bureau Livestock Advisory Committee Beef Tour, Oklahoma Steel and Wire is one of the first stops.
What an unbelievable place. Family operation started in 1978 with 5 employees. Now they're about 600 employees. They turn out 7,000 16-foot cattle panels a day, the mesh wire cattle panels, and they said they're running 30,000 panel orders behind.
Marty Woldridge is the chair of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Livestock Advisory Committee. It's while on this tour he sees the process of making barbed wire and fences from beginning to end, like an episode of How It's Made.
When you tell me that you're melting down, you're reclaiming junk iron pretty much, you're melting it down and you turn it into a 36-foot rod of steel that's 6 or 8 inches in diameter, and then you keep working it, heating it, and reworking it. When you turn it into almost 31 miles of wire that then gets twisted into barbed wire, unbelievable process.
We're fixing fence every day. As beef producers on this tour, we're either fixing fence, building fence, and we actually get to see the process of how it's made from the point where they smelt the scrap iron down to the finished product.
Mitch Marsalis raises cattle in Claiborne Parish. He watches the web of newly stretched wire spin off the spools into a furnace with bubbling sand to galvanize the wire, then into cooling waters, acid baths, and even pools of molten zinc before being spun, cut, welded, and flipped to make the tools he uses to keep his cattle on his land.
Every time I work on one or build one, I'm going to be thinking about how it's made now.
Amelia Kent is the vice chair of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Livestock Advisory Committee. It's not just the process of making wire that amazes her, but how the people who work at Oklahoma Steel and Wire built the machines that built the company.
To see how innovative their own processes are, the fact that they build most of their machines in-house. I'd hate to say that we actually take some of their equipment for granted, but when you think about what actually goes into that mesh wire, that net wire, the barbed wire, high tensile wire, we saw so much at that one stop alone. It was fascinating.
We sell scrap iron off our farm. It might actually turn into the barbed wire and the cattle panels that we're buying at the feed store next week that we need on our farm.
This marks the 5th time the Louisiana Farm Bureau Livestock Advisory Committee organizes a beef tour. Plans are already in the works for the next tour. We did a lot more than just tour Oklahoma Steel and Wire, so I have another story from the tour next week, and we went to one place that you would have absolutely loved with your Angus background, and that was Express Ranch.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, so you saw the 47,000 square foot home of Bob Funk.
Oh yeah, it's very impressive.
It's impressive.
They have their own sale barn that is compete. It's exquisite.
Yep, we went in there, and then we saw the Clydesdale as well, and we'll have a little bit of that coming up next week.
Very cool.